Hi, my name is Sandy and I work as a community college professor. Typical day where I work, I come in, usually my classes are in the mornings. Some people have classes in the afternoons and come in a little bit later. Some people do more night classes. I teach 2 classes a day or a long class. Usually the first thing I do coming into the office a little early is I go through my email, answer student emails, make sure there's no meetings I have to attend that day, and if there are, make sure that I have them on my calendar so I won't forget them. Then I get my materials together for my first class, and we spend about an hour and 15 minutes per class. Usually I come back upstairs to recheck my email, go back down for the second class. I spend probably 2-3 hours each day on office time where students can come and talk to me about their classes, talk to me about the classes they want to take in future, or a career in my field. Sometimes I have what's called professional duty time. That's when I can shut my door if I need to and work on developing tests, and there's a certain amount of that kind of work you have to do. It's not an everyday thing, but I develop tests or study guides, or I write, I work on papers, grade things, and some days it's pretty easy and there's not that much to do, and other days you are working from nonstop 7:30 to 4:30 in the afternoon. Just depends on what's going on that particular week. When it's time for advising students and registering them in classes, I have longer days. When it's time for just teaching and registration's over, I have a little more time to do my own work. Generally the days are about 7-8 hours long. Like I said, some days you may work 9 or 10 hours just to get your tasks done on time for your classes. Some days you go home a little early. Depends on, different institutions have different rules about how long you're supposed to stay. We have some flex time with our professional duty time, so I can do more on one day and less on another, and that's kind of nice. That's a little freedom that is really enjoyable. In terms of what I do and stress levels, when I get into the classroom, all my stresses go away. No matter whether I've been stressed or not, everything I've been doing goes away when I'm talking in front of my classroom, because I love teaching. That's really why I got into this job, is to teach, and to it helps if you're a frustrated stand-up comedian a little bit because you have an audience and they can't leave because they have to stay there, and I enjoy that a lot. So that's how my stress relief for the day. When I have to do a lot of committee work, when there's a lot of decisions to be made, probably one of the most demanding tasks is when you have to be on a search committee for a new employee, and you have to read so many files and evaluate and do interviews. That takes up a lot of your time, and other things get shoved aside. Those are probably the most stressful times, is when you have too many things to do at once. But it all works out in the end. And then you get your summers off. And that's wonderful. So what are the job requirements for teaching at a community college? Well, the minimum requirement is a master's degree. You have to have a master's degree to teach in the programs that are going to go on to upper level schools. You also need to make sure you have 18 graduate hours, 6 courses usually, in the field in which you want to teach. So you could have a master's in anything, but if you have 18 graduate hours in something else, you can teach in that field too. It's also becoming more and more the norm that people who teach at community colleges end up with PhDs. I have a PhD, about more than half of my division has a PhD, or a PSYD, or an education doctorate. And that's becoming something that makes employment very competitive. You don't have to be licensed to teach at a community college. There's no internship that you have to fulfill for most of the teaching positions we have. You do need to know how to operate a computer. You need to have some technical skills with a computer. Most colleges these days have what we call smart classrooms at our school, and that means you have to know how to use not just a regular overhead projector, but one that is attached to the ceiling, and you have kind of like a cockpit of control. The computer in front of you and the overhead that's connected to the projector in the ceiling and a big screen next to you, and you've got to know how to work all those things. Not too hard to learn, but you have to be able to be familiar with PowerPoint, with accessing the internet. You really need to know what your students are doing too. That's one thing people don't always talk about. You need to know what Facebook is. You need to know what kinds of things they are doing, and if you don't use them yourself, you at least need to know how to refer to them. So some technical skills as well as some teaching skills in your field, and obviously you need to be able to talk in front of a group. And that's mainly the requirements now. The best part of my job is absolutely the students, has to be. I enjoy teaching so much, and one of the reasons I enjoy teaching is that there is nothing in the world better than looking at a student and seeing that student get the point, actually realize what you're talking about and how it relates to his or her life, and they get it. Students come up to me sometimes and they tell me because they took my class, they're going to change their major to my field, and that's a thrilling, wonderful thing. But just for them to tell me that it helped them understand themselves or something about their lives, I've made a difference. I've really impacted them in some way, and that is the best part of the job, to be able to teach, to do what I love to do and stand up and talk to a captive audience and get paid for it is wonderful. So the students are the best part. I love my students, even the frustrating ones sometimes. You get through to them and it's even better than getting through to the best of the students. Worst parts of the job, one thing is a necessary evil, and that's committee work. It's not teaching, and teaching is really what I want to do. At a community college, you're expected to teach. That's your primary function, and I teach 5 classes a semester. There's expectation that you do need to be on various committees. There are standing committees, and at some point you need to be on all of them at one point or another. Faculty council or a committee for general education or retention committee, things like that. And some of them meet frequently and some of them don't. There's a need to also sometimes change the way you do things in your classroom. When they change the new technology, you change from one system to another. Now you've got to learn a new system for classroom management, or learn a new computer system, and you've got to learn it by the seat of your pants because they don't give you a lot of time to adjust before you're expected to use it. Probably the worst part of the job is when I have a student I can't get through to, that I realize at some point this student just isn't going to get it and probably shouldn't be in college, and I hate that because I don't want to admit defeat. I don't want to admit that there's somebody that I can't get through to, that I can't get the concepts across to. Those are the things that make me the saddest. Committee work just frustrates me because it takes time away from the classroom, time away from classroom preparation. Best part of the job, I think I mentioned it before, you get summers off if you want them. You get a couple of weeks off at Christmas. You get a spring break. So you get some nice vacation time and downtime, and you don't get that in every job. I think that's about it. My final advice to you is, if you want to get into a career teaching at a community college, first of all, you need to do well in school, because you are going to have to go to graduate school, and it is a very competitive field. The school's competitive. They're going to look for people. They look at your grades, they look at your transcript, and they look to see that B or C, maybe we don't want him or her. So you want to try to do well, do your best, particularly in your grad school courses. You also want to get as much practice as you can. Like I said, community college is about teaching. The main thing we do is teaching. So you want to practice that. Take classes where you have to do presentations and get up in front of the class and talk to them, and treat it as if you were the teacher for that moment. take a speech class or a public speaking class to get some experience in knowing how to talk to people. One of the more useful classes I took was actually a rhetoric and logic class. It helped me learn how to make arguments well, because you have to do a lot of convincing in the classroom. Take a drama class, do a little acting, because teaching is acting. You're standing up there pretending to know everything, and you've got to convince them that you know what you're talking about, and you've got to be confident enough to tell them when you don't know what you're talking about. By the way, a good trick for that: assign it to one of the students. Just practice, know that teaching is what you want to do, and try your best, and you'll do well.